Police nabbed 26 kidnappers, 12 rustlers, 114 robbers, and 10 rapists in Kaduna. Nigeria's unemployment drops to 4.3% amid lingering hardship as GDP grows by 3.46% in Q3 2024. Gombe scrap dealers lament lack of collection centers, urge government action. And on the foreign scene, 17 missing after tourist boat capsizes in the Red Sea. Hello and welcome to Trust News Hour. I am Chiamaka Mwafo. The news. The Kaduna State Commissioner of Police Ibrahim Abdullahi has disclosed the arrest of 523 suspects involved in various criminal activities. The suspects include 26 kidnappers, 12 cattle rustlers, 97 phone snatchers, 17 car snatchers, and 10 rape suspects, among others. Abdullahi revealed this on Monday in Kaduna, expressing satisfaction with the progress made, attributing the success to strategic measures and the dedication of the police officers under his command. He further explained that the command intensified its efforts during the Ember months, focusing on combating crime across the state.
And has also recovered 5 AK-47 rifles, 2 pistols, 1 submachine gun, that is SMG, 283 roasted kettles, 20 sheep, and 105 rounds of live ammunition. I am hereby assuring you that the command will not relent in its efforts to maintain law and order across the state.
We have been doing it for last year, so they caught us. So they collect our phones and everything. So they interview us, they told us everything. That how long have we started doing it? So explain everything to the police. So they hold our phones and everything.
For God, man, I don't know how it take up, but I've already committed, and I plead for justice and mercy. When I was in the army, I used to have normally a psychiatry drugs they used to give me. So when the incident happened, I don't even know what happened, but I regret my action because I have never found myself in this kind of condition.
Troops of Section 3 under the Multinational Joint Task Force MNJTF have executed a decisive operation against Boko Haram and ISWAP terrorists in Kukawa and Mongunu local government areas of Borno State. The operation, which resulted in the elimination of several terrorists and the recovery of critical assets, took place in northern Borno. In a press statement on Monday, Lieutenant Colonel Olani Oshoba, Chief Military Information Officer at MNJTF headquarters in Njeme, Chad, said the operation resulted in the elimination of terrorists and the recovery of valuable assets. He said the terrorists who launched an offensive using suicide vehicle, burn improvised explosive devices, were met with superior firepower from MNJTF troops. According to Oshoba, following intense air and artillery bombardment and a ground assault, 5 terrorists were neutralized, while several others fled with gunshot wounds. The Nigerian Air Force NAF has confirmed the destruction of a terrorist food bank in the Jubileum area of the Lake Chad Basin by the air component of Operation Hadinkai. NAF's Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Olushola Akimboiwa, said the airstrike also led to the destruction of terrorist logistical operations. He added that several terrorists were neutralized in the strikes. In a statement he signed, Akimboiwa said intelligence previously linked terrorists in the area to past attacks on troops in Kereto on 16 November 2024. NAF assured that it will sustain these robust, independent and joint operations until all enemies of Nigeria's prosperity and well-being are brought to justice. A victim of kidnapping for ransom has reportedly succumbed to injuries while receiving medical treatment following gunshot wounds by armed bandits in Jigawa local government area of Katsina State. The deceased was among 2 rescued victims who had suffered gunshot injuries and were rushed to the hospital for immediate medical attention by the police in the state. The incident occurred Sunday evening after suspected armed bandits attacked 2 commercial vehicles at the Donaro village along Magama Jibia Road in Jigawa local government area in an attempt to kidnap the occupants. In response, the divisional police officer in charge led a team of operatives to the scene and engaged the hoodlums in a fierce gun duel. The spokesman of the Katsina State Police Command, ASP Abubakar Sadiq, in a statement on Monday, said the DPO-led team successfully foiled the kidnapping attempt and rescued 14 victims. Although efforts are ongoing to apprehend the fleeing suspects, the Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Aliyu Musa, urged members of the public with useful information on suspected criminal activities to promptly report to the nearest police station. The unemployment rate in Nigeria has dropped to 4.3% in the second quarter of 2024. A report by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) said the figure was a decrease from the 5.3% recorded in quarter 1 2024. It stated that the unemployment rate among persons with upper secondary school education was 8.5% in quarter 2 2024, while the unemployment rate among youths aged 15 to 24 and 25 to 34 years in quarter 2 2024 was 6.5% each and the highest. According to the report, the share of those in wage employment was 14.4% in quarter 2 2024, a marginal decrease from the 16% recorded in quarter 1 2024, while the rate of informal employment, which is a share of employed persons working in the informal sector and informal employment including agriculture, in quarter 2 2024 was 93.0%, a slight increase from the rate reported in quarter 1 2024 at 92.7%. Nigeria's gross domestic product (GDP) growth rate in real terms grew by 3.46% in the third quarter of 2024 on a year-on-year basis, the National Bureau of Statistics has revealed. A statement by the Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adedeji, said the growth is 0.92 percentage points higher than the rate recorded in quarter 3 2023, which stood at 2.54%. The statement added that the quarter was higher by 0.27 percentage points relative to the 3.19% recorded in the second quarter of 2024. According to the statement, the major driver of the economy is the services sector, which recorded a growth of 5.19% and contributed 53.58% to the aggregate GDP. He also said the economic activity in real terms for quarter 3 2024 stood at 20.13 trillion naira, which is higher than the rates recorded in the preceding quarter of 2024, which stood at 18.2 trillion naira, and the corresponding third quarter of 2023, which recorded 19.4 trillion naira. Now joining us via Zoom to discuss this is economist Aliyu Elias. Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight, Elias. Hello, Elias. Can you hear us? If you can, please unmute on your end.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
All right, thank you so much. Now, let's have your take on this new report. What do you think is the correlation with what is actually happening in the economy?
Right. You recall that immediately the new statistician general came on, he changed the measurement of unemployment in Nigeria. And now look at it as labor force participation. So when you say labor force participation, it may not be true status of unemployment in Nigeria. So for the record is bringing, you also see that he's trying to say we have more increments in the infra sector. Perhaps an infra sector is pretty difficult to actually measure. So then they have not also factor underemployment, and the labor force participation actually simply means that people that participate maybe once in a week in an activity. So if you look at it critically, it does not reflect what actually happened. Because if you look at the rate of unemployment in Nigeria today, especially when multinationals and industry and MSME are shutting down, I think it's higher compared to what the opposition is bringing up.
Okay, now when we look at all these statistics being done, how big is the sample size really in these types of reports? Because with minimum wage up and businesses struggling, how possible is it that the unemployment is down?
Right, and that's why I said that, the sample size and the decision to actually kill it to this perspective they are using. You recall, before now, there's a particular way we usually measure it, and during that period, you see that it gives us total level of unemployment and it's clear in clear terms. But now, it is labor participation, labor's participation. That is, in 3 days, if you participate for a particular hours or have you, that's what they're actually calculating, which does not truly reflect the level of employment in Nigeria. And another thing is that if you look at it, even state by state, we expect them to bring it out. That social states, those levels would reflect more. So I think we need to revert back to the older method of measuring unemployment in Nigeria.
All right, so now to the issue of our GDP that, according to report, has, of course, grown by 3.46%. With what's happening in the economy, can we say that is actually something that is really happening? Does it actually, speak to what's going on currently in our economy?
Right. Well, for gross domestic products, well, I think it's actually correct. But the only challenges we have is that what sector is giving us that GDP of that level. And if you see in the report I read it, they said it's a service sector. And for a service sector to give us such, that simply means that it's not a good move for Nigeria, because, ideally, a country like Nigeria should be doing more of agriculture, more of industry, compared to more of a service sector. That simply means that we have seriously in our production aspect. And when you say service sector does not reflect a true economy, because in this sector there will not be room for employment. When you are producing, when you are manufacturing, or when you are working on agricultural produce, you have people gain employment, and that's why that also reflects on their employment. Because we can have better employment when the manufacturing sector and product sector is growing, not when service sector could be portfolio investment, could be stocks and what have you. So it can reflect the true status of Nigeria.
Now, finally, just before we go, you understand that there are hesitations from people when MBS, of course, releases this report that somehow contradict leading experts in the economy, what they're saying about what's happening, about how bad the economy is. What's your take on this? Again, you said we need to go back to our old way of actually finding out or trying to find out what the unemployment situation is in the country.
Right. Ideally, when you give us statistics, we should be able to relate it with what is on ground. But if you look at what they're actually churning out and the reality on ground, two different things. But you wouldn't say you want to rub what they actually bring. We must have an native to actually say, okay, it's actually wrong. But for me, I think they need to do more in terms of so that we will not have a lot of that. Because if you look at the reality in Nigeria today, a lot of things is reflecting when we are having people moving out of the country. We have people, companies shutting down, having increased interest rates. There's no way we will have development or we will have higher GDP, compared to where we are supposed to have those things in place. So for me, I think they believe it's very, very rare. I make sure you use what is obtainable for Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Aliyu Ilyas, for joining us tonight on the News Hour, giving us an update on the GDP situation and the employment rate situation. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We've been speaking with an economist, Aliyu Ilyas, on the GDP ratio increasing and the unemployment ratio decreasing. Now let's go to other stories where some residents of Lagos State have been reacting to President Bola Tinubu's request of a $2.2 billion loan, an equivalent of 1.77 trillion naira, to partially finance the 9.7 trillion naira budget deficit for the 2024 fiscal year. The loan, which was recently approved by the National Assembly, has been the subject of discussion among Nigerians who are divided on whether or not it means well for the country. The report.
Recent approval of $2.2 billion external loan request by President Bola Tinubu has drawn sharp criticism across the country. The loan, which according to the presidency is intended to address the 9.7 trillion deficit in the 2024 budget, was swiftly approved within 48 hours. According to Senate Committee Chairman Aliyu Wamako, the funds are crucial for ongoing projects and debt management strategies. Despite assurance, opposition voices, including former President Atiku Abubakar, who described the move as recklessness, citing Nigeria's ranking as the third most indebted nation to the International Development Association. Critics have also questioned the urgency of the loan as the 2024 fiscal year nears its end and argued for alternative solutions, including improvements, revenue management, and production-driven economic strategies.
The ones that were borrowed before, what was done about it? Can they give us proof of what they have used it to do? And they are going to borrow another one. What is the proof that they are going to use it? Are they going to show us step by step at how it is going to be disbursed? Now, if they finish borrowing all this money, the future generation, how will it look like? Because already the economy is crumbling and they are not thinking about it. They are not doing anything about it, and they want to still go and borrow more.
I think we have heard so much, like we have heard much about this before, and this is not first time that we used to loan money. But at the end of the day, when the government change, the other one will take over. Then no one will follow back to know what the other money they have collected, like EFCC. They used to come to check us sometimes. Wait, what do you say? But the arrest don't disturb us always.
We are not seeing what the money that is being borrowed is used for. So again, I do not have it. For me, the loan that the government continues to borrow is not for the benefit of the masses. It's not for the benefit of the country, because the society as it is, especially under this current administration, is not reflecting any good to the generality of the public.
The issue of this $2.2 million that he wants to take, is it really going to be enough for what he really wants to do? We're talking about $2 million, for God's sake. $2 million. Is it going to be enough for what he really wants to do? If it's going to be more than that, or it's not going to be enough, definitely I feel they should go back to the drawing board and all the due processes, like most of the people who have been coming on board to talk, all those people should be brought onto the drawing board, discuss the pros and cons of, getting this loan before the loan should be approved by the Senate.
The swift approval has ignited debates across Nigerians' fiscal discipline, with many calling for a more transparent approach to borrowing.
Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has responded to allegations from the People's Democratic Party PDP governors regarding alleged manipulation, the 2024 Edo State governorship election. During a recent two-day meeting in Jos, Plateau State, the PDP governors claimed that electoral irregularities prevented the party's candidate, Eswe Ighodalo, from winning in Edo. The PDP governors also accused INEC of rigging in the recent Ondo election. They alleged that INEC altered results to benefit the APC and urged the judiciary and lawmakers to enhance electoral laws to combat what they refer to as institutional sabotage of the will of the people. But in a response, the Chief Press Secretary to the INEC chairman, Rotimi Onyekomi, called the allegations unfortunate and inappropriate, emphasizing that INEC as a law-abiding body cannot comment on ongoing court matters. Onyekomi criticized the PDP governors for engaging in a media trial, encouraging them to present their evidence in court instead of making unsubstantiated claims publicly. Still in political matters, the acting national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Damagum, has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct a by-election to fill up the seats of Pro-Wike lawmakers following their defection to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Damagum's request was contained in a letter he addressed to INEC dated 13 November 2024. The spokesperson of the Opposition Lawmakers Coalition, Ikenga Ugochinyere, made the letter available to journalists at a press conference in Akokwa, Imo State on Sunday. The letter, titled Demand for Immediate Conduct of Fresh Election in 27 constituencies of Rivers State, which have become vacant pursuant to Section 109, subsection 1G of the Constitution, drew the Commission's attention to the unlawful defection of 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly on December 11, 2023. According to the letter, going by the provisions of the Constitution, the lawmakers are no longer members of Assembly. The PDP acting chairman therefore urged the Commission to perform its constitutional duties and begin the process of conducting fresh elections to fill the vacancies created in the 27 constituencies by the lawful act by the former Assembly members. There was a mild drama on Monday at the Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in Cross River State as members protested alleged plans to reinstate the ousted state chairman of the party. The protest was carried out by the wards and local governments chapters of the PDP across the state. Armed with placards with various inscriptions, the protesters threatened to leave the party should the removed chairman, Venetius Ikem, be reinstated. Some of the placards read, "Ikem must go. All wards and local government chapters reject Vena. Decision of the Cross River State Working Committee is the best for the party." Now led by the Calabar Municipality Chairman, Baisia Suko, the protesters said that removal of Ikem was the best thing to have happened to the party as the leadership had stagnated the growth of the party in the state. The State Working Committee of the party had a fortnight ago removed Ikem over allegations of financial misappropriation, high-handedness and ineptitude. But the ousted chairman described his removal as unconstitutional and threatened legal action against his purported removal. The absence of Justice INEC of the Abuja Federal High Court on Monday stalled a 50 billion naira suit filed by Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, against the federal government. The case, which was fixed for Monday, could not proceed because Justice Ekwo was an official engagement in another division of the court. The case was subsequently slated for February 11, 2025 for further mention. Kanu's lawyer, Aloy Ejimako, had at one of the earlier proceedings informed the court that he would be taking over the case from Chief Mike Ozekome, SAN, who filed the suit on April 7, 2022. Kanu sued the defendant over allegations bordering on violation of his rights, alleged that he was kidnapped from Kenya and brought back to Nigeria to stand trial. He wants the court to determine whether the way and manner in which the plaintiff was abducted in Kenya and extraordinarily rendition to Nigeria is consistent with extant laws. You're still on to News Hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Gombe metal scrap dealers decry non-existent collection center, seek government intervention. More when we return. Please to stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. A recap of our top stories. We informed you that police now have 26 kidnappers, 12 rustlers, 114 robbers and 10 rapists in Kaduna State. We also told you that Nigeria's unemployment drops to 4.3% amid lingering hardship as GDP grows by 3.46% in Q3 of 2024. In Gombe State, metal scrap dealers have called on the government to provide a central location where they can operate collectively. According to them, this will help regulate their business and address growing concerns about stolen items being sold as scrap on the streets of Gombe. Trust TV's Hassan Kohli has the story.
Metal scrap business has for years been a vital source of income for many, but it is not without challenges. Among those challenges are concerns raised by dealers about the reputation of their trade being tarnished on the allegation that they buy stolen items. They believe the solution lies in operating from a central government-approved location. We are honest business people, but because there is no proper structure, some bad elements are taking advantage. If the government can give us a central yard, we will monitor ourselves and ensure stolen items are not bought or sold. There is a serious need for us to monitor what is bought or sold, and this can only be achieved if we converge at the same location. Currently, scrap dealers operate in scattered locations across the state. This makes it difficult for authorities to monitor their trade effectively. The dealers believe a centralized operational place will not only curb illegal activities but also boost the legitimacy of their business. Government has to come in and regulate our business since we are dealing with scrap items and we are generating a lot of the scrap. Besides, we are providing not less than 10,000 people with employment. I am urging the youth not to engage in any act of buying or selling stolen items, and we are monitoring to ensure that it does not happen here. However, governments must intervene. Scrap dealers are hopeful that the Gombe state government will heed their call. They believe that by working together in a regulated environment, they will not only protect their business, but also support the fight against theft in the community and boost internally generated revenue for the state government. From Gombe, Hassan Koli reporting for Trust TV.
The driver of a stolen car on Monday escaped death after a 40-foot loaded container fell onto it at mile 2 en route to Apapa. A statement by the Director, Public Affairs and Enlightenment Department of the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA, Adibayo Taufik, said the driver was rescued alive through the swift and coordinated response of LASMA and other emergency services, including the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC. Taufik said efforts to evacuate the falling container are in full swing, while LASMA officers continue to manage the scene to ease traffic congestion and restore normalcy. The General Manager of LASMA, Olaliko Bakaroki, reiterated the critical importance of proper container securing by truck drivers and owners. He stressed that negligence in this regard endangers lives and property, urging strict compliance with road safety protocols to avert such catastrophic occurrences. Ebonyi State Governor Francis Nwifuru has ordered the arrest and prosecution of 6 workers at the State Ministry of Health for allegedly diverting materials intended for the State Ministry of Health. During a project inspection, the governor noticed a truck loading registers, books and other materials from the ministry's warehouse. Not satisfied with the initial explanations, he conducted further inquiries and uncovered that patient data registers, cards and other documents were being loaded onto the vehicle without authorization. Further investigation showed that the materials had already been sold without government approval. Governor Nwifuru condemned the act, which he described as sabotage against the government's efforts to improve the health sector. The suspects have been handed over to the police for further investigation.
We are talking of this. This is the register for antenatal, daily antenatal register. And you decided to sell it. Whereas we don't have one in our primary health care where this is supposed to be. They are using exercise book to write. I have seen it time without number. On primary health care, and you have the opportunity to be a civil servant. And all these things are in their own custody and they're selling it.
Almost 500 vehicles belonging to the Edo State government are still missing, according to Fred Itwa, the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Monday Okpebolo. A committee set up by Edo State to recover vehicles and other assets belonging to the state had earlier said 200 vehicles were missing. But Itwa said the figure is now higher, according to information from the committee led by Kelly Okombua. According to him, some of the missing vehicles were also traced to a former official of the past government of Godwin Obaseki. It said some officials of the Okpebolo administration do not have vehicles, adding that the current government inherited nothing from Obaseki. The development is the latest in the Edo State government's inquiry into the administration of Obaseki, which handed over some weeks ago. The leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities at Taraba State University, ASU-TSU, has called on the state government to urgently address the welfare of its members following the deaths of 3 lecturers. The union, which alleged that the 3 lecturers died within 48 hours, said the deaths were due to long-standing neglect and unresolved grievances. ASU-TSU chairman Mberve Joshua Garba made the appeal in a statement shared on his Facebook account. He expressed deep concern over the loss of the 3 lecturers whom he identified as Professor Akborido Samuel, Dr. Kiliobas Shah, and Malam Ibrahim Sali Bali. The untimely deaths, he claimed, were tied to poor welfare conditions, including unpaid earned academic allowances, unresolved salary backlogs, and the absence of a functional pension scheme. Describing the deceased lecturers as not only professionals but also pillars of their families and mentors to many, he decried the dire conditions under which they had to work, which he said contributed to their deaths. The managing director of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NELFund, Akintunde Sawyer, has announced that the agency has disbursed 12 billion naira in student loans till date. Speaking during an oversight visit by the House Committee on Student Loans and Higher Education Financing in Abuja, he revealed that 601,000 loan applications have been processed so far, with 321,000 approved and sent to institutions for validation. Here's the report.
According to Sawyer, the agency has received 400,000 registrations, out of which 120,000 individuals have received stipends. Sawyer said the fund processes over 2,000 applications daily and is committed to ensuring fairness in loan disbursements across all regions. He further disclosed that 52,000 additional loans were approved last week for disbursement to institutions and individuals. Highlighting the challenges, Sawyer stated that managing a fund of this size without face-to-face interactions poses risk of fraud. To mitigate this, he said the agency meticulously reviews each application individually.
Our exposure in terms of what we've disbursed so far is about 12 billion. I believe we're going to be doing some further disbursements this week, which will probably take that number up to about 20. We are interacting with, or we have somewhere in the region of 120,000 people who have actually received stipends or are about to. So this is a live operation that we're watching here. We're receiving about 2,000 applications every day.
The chairman of the House Committee on Student Loans and Higher Education Financing, Boyega Isiaka, commended NELFund's effort, stating that the agency's progress and statistics are satisfactory. He also acknowledged areas for improvement and pledged the committee's continued support and oversight. Isiaka praised the student loan initiative as a positive step by presidency, emphasizing the need for increased sensitization, particularly in southern Nigeria, where application numbers are lower than expected.
Few areas were mentioned where the company needs to be improved upon, and we are going to follow up with that. But in all, I think this initiative by the president for student loan for Nigerian students is something that is very good. And we're also satisfied that the management that is put in place, to execute that, are doing well. And we we need to do a bit more in the area of sensitization, particularly in the southern part of the country.
NEL Fund was established in April 2024, among other things, to provide interest-free loans to eligible Nigerians for higher education, vocational training, and skills acquisition.
The House of Representatives has pledged to end all forms of violence against women and girls in Nigeria during a historic march against gender-based violence. Speaker Tajuddin Abbas highlighted the alarming statistics, stating that a woman dies from violence every 10 minutes worldwide. The report.
Gender-based violence remains a pervasive issue in Nigeria, affecting countless individuals and undermining societal progress. Women and girls are the primary victims, though men and boys are not left out. This time around, the House of Representatives is at the forefront of advocacy and victims' support. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, described the trend as unacceptable and vowed that the National Assembly would work with law enforcement agencies and other stakeholders to reduce such violence to the barest minimum. Abbas promised active participation in the upcoming National Action Plan Against Women Violence, emphasizing the House's commitment to enacting robust policies to combat violence against women, children, and girls.
For every 10 minutes, a woman is being killed across the world. This is an unacceptable trend. This is an unforgivable trend. We in the Parliament must have to unite more than ever before with relevant authorities, particularly the law enforcement, in ensuring that we curb this dangerous trend to the barest minimum.
Chairperson of the House Committee on Women Affairs and Social Development, Kafilat Ogbara, noted that 1 in 3 women globally experiences gender-based violence. She urged security agencies to ensure justice for victims and condemned various forms of abuse, including workplace harassment, family-based violence, and sexual exploitation.
House of Representatives, under the leadership of Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas and Right Honorable Benjamin Kalu, have united in one voice to say that there is no excuse for violence against our women and our girls. They are our mothers, they are our daughters, they are our family. They care for us, they nurture us. Why should we violate them?
Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetukun, who received the petition, pledged to review and act on its recommendations. He stressed that eradicating gender-based violence requires collective effort beyond law enforcement.
There are some areas where the tradition also abuses the rights of women. We have cases of gender mutilation, genital mutilation, yes, and others like that. So it is a collective effort that we must all fight. We must all come together.
The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, called for collaboration among ministries and agencies to drastically reduce gender-based violence in Nigeria.
Week's time, we are going to have a Young and Secure, which is part of girls, women, and all youth. And the Office of Ministry of Youth will be coming up with an help desk whereby all the youth in this country, most especially the women and the girls, can come, communicate with us, discuss with us. Let us hear you.
The theme for the 2024 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is Towards Beijing Plus 30, Unite to End Violence Against Women and Girls.
Borno State First Lady Falmata Zulum has called on religious and traditional leaders as well as other stakeholders to join the fight to end gender-based violence in the country. Zulum, who also encouraged victims to voice out abuse against them, made the call during the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence for 2024 held in Maiduguri. Here's the report.
Recent records of gender-based violence indicate a 5% increase in reports of GBV incidents compared to previous years in northeastern Nigeria. Borno leads other states like Adamawa with 10% and Yobe at 6%. The rise is attributed to conflict, displacement, instability, and climate change. This year's 16 Days of Activism Against GBV with the theme Tracing the Roots, Standing Against Gender-Based Violence amplifies awareness to educate communities, break the culture of silence, and encourage behavioral change.
UNICEF stands very firmly with the government and all other partners to ensure that we continue to ensure accountability in this process and to increase investment in education for girls, because it is very important in ensuring that girls, violence against girls is ensured and girls have the opportunity to advance in education.
Addressing the root causes of GBV, which also includes power imbalances, toxic masculinities, cultural norms, economic vulnerabilities, are key to success. So GBV subsector partners have been addressing these root causes over the years through interventions on prevention to gender-based violence, by community awareness and education, economic empowerment, and providing life-saving and comprehensive gender-based violence services in the Northeast.
Zulum urged stakeholders to join the fight against gender-based violence and build a society rooted in peace, equity, and justice.
Socioeconomic inequalities, lack of access to education and health care, and limited economic opportunities contribute to women's vulnerability to violence. Empowering women economically and socially is crucial to reducing their risk. The 16 days of activism are a crucial moment for us to reflect, strategize, and renew our commitment to eliminating gender-based violence. The Borno State Ministry of Women Affairs and I are proud to partner with numerous organizations and partners towards this goal.
Strengthening the legal framework, ensuring that perpetrators are held accountable and survivors receive justice and protection. BAC and the child rights law are domesticated in Borno State. And since those laws came to, we have witnessed a lot of convictions in collaboration with FIDA, Ministry of Justice, our traditional rulers and traditional leaders, and of course the security agency, especially the Nigerian police, where we have gender desks in every of the nations.
It is expected that after the event, stakeholders will engage in campaigns against GBV in a bid to reduce the alarming cases of GBV across the Northeast. Bitrus Kuruti, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Persistent flood challenges that have negatively impacted lives in Jigawa State. International humanitarian organizations have pledged their support to help the state government tackle the recurring disaster. UNICEF, the Red Cross, and the European Union have agreed to collaborate with Jigawa State to implement sustainable solutions that address the devastating effects of annual flooding. Here's the report.
Report from the State Emergency Management Agency revealed that this year's floods affected over 15,000 households and destroyed approximately 7,000 hectares of farmland, leaving many farmers stranded. To mitigate the impacts of such disasters and foster long-term resilience, the Jigawa State government has reached out to both national and international organizations for assistance. The partnership with these international organizations offers technical and financial support aimed at reducing the frequency and impact of floods in Jigawa, while equipping the affected communities with strategies to rebuild and adopt. During a visit from representatives of the EU, Red Cross, and UNICEF, the State Deputy Governor, representing Governor Malam Umar Namadi, expressed gratitude for their commitment and assured them of the government's commitment to utilizing their support effectively to address the issue.
School inbox and cash mandated to all the victims of the flood disaster within the state. Our prayer here, where the government is, we are happy with the reforms and reform initiative in the state. The government, under the able leadership of Malam Umar Namadi, the executive governor of the state, has directed me to express his deep appreciation to UNICEF, ECHO, and Red Cross for the various project initiatives in the states.
To monitor the disaster preparedness and shock responsive social protection initiative, we have started implementing actually late last year. When we started with the disaster preparedness workshop with SEMA, and then this year during the floods we had a cash transfer to 4,800 flood affected people.
The delegation plans to tour flood-prone areas across Jigawa State to assess the impacts firsthand and ensure that interventions are tailored to the needs of affected communities.
It's now time for Business Update with Yusuf Akogo.
The Monetary Policy Committee (MPC) has begun its final two-day meeting of the year in Abuja, which analysts are forecasting an interest rate hike of 25 to 50 basis points. These projections align with the trajectory of the previous rate increase. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria headline inflation rate rose to 33.88% in October 2024, up from 32.70% in September. CBN has maintained a tighter monetary policy to curb inflation. Since initiating its tightening cycle in 2022, the Apex Bank has raised its benchmark interest rate by 1,525 basis points. NGX opened the week in red due to profit taken by investors. Topping the loser story is NSL Tech. It lost 9.84% to close at 55 kobo per share. Damagum PLC down 9.68% to close at 56 kobo per share. There, Austin Labs also down 9.40% to close at 2 naira and 41 kobo per share. This has dragged down the index downward by 0.2%. Volume of trade 671.26 million shares, value at 10.64 billion naira, and it is soft 10,464 lead exchanges among investors there. Looking at the top trading equities by volume, ABNH lead the table 244.99 billion shares traded, HM Core 47.14 million shares, of course, Tantalazan PLC 35.34 million shares. It's traded as well. Some equities recorded gains. HM Core lead at table 10% in gain to close at 5 naira and 61 kobo per share. The NSR also gained 9.72% to close at 4 naira and 74 kobo per share. Sovereign Insurance gained 9.52% to close at 69 kobo per share there. And that's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Monday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil prices steady on Monday following 6% gains last week, with mounting tension between Western powers and major oil producers, Russia and Iran, raising fears of supply disruptions and keeping a floor under prices. And the London market, Brent crude sells for $75 a barrel. For the per basket, price steadies at $73 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akogo.
Away from Nigeria, Egyptian authorities on Monday said 17 people, including foreigners, were missing after a tourist yacht capsized off the country's Red Sea coast, with 28 others rescued. The vessel, which was carrying 31 tourists of various nationalities and a 14-member crew, sent out a distress signal at 5:30 a.m. According to a statement from Egypt's Red Sea Governorate, the Sea Story embarked on Sunday on a multi-day diving trip from Port Galib near Marsa Alam in Egypt's southeast and was due to dock on Friday in the town of Hurghada, 200 kilometers north. Governor Amir Hanafi said some survivors were rescued by an aircraft while others were transported to safety aboard the warship. Authorities have not confirmed the nationalities of the tourists. The Chinese embassy in Egypt said on Monday that 2 of its nationals were in good health after being rescued in the cruise ship sinking accident in the Red Sea. Polish Foreign Ministry spokesman Paweł Wronski said authorities have information that 2 of the tourists may have had Polish citizenship. 17 people reportedly died on Sunday when a bus on a remote mountain road in Brazil's northeastern Alagoas state dived into a ravine. Regional authorities have disclosed police were working to identify those killed and to free bodies from the wreckage of the bus which fell into the ravine more than 20 meters deep, the state government said in a statement. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said on X that his government will give all necessary support to state authorities to assist, care and support the victims. Alagoas State Governor Paulo Dantas declared 3 days of mourning over the tragedy. The bus was reported to have been carrying some 40 people up a mountain road to a historical site near the town of Unoa dos Palmares when the driver lost control. Apparently, after mechanical failure, the bus went off the road in an area difficult to access near a site in the Serra da Briga mountain range that has historical importance to Brazilians. Time now for sports news updates with Adini Ajishafe.
The 37th edition of the Dalahad Court Tennis Tournament came to a thrilling conclusion in Kanu, with Khadija Mohammed and Aboaj Kanis emerging as the winners of the female and male singles titles respectively. In the male singles final, Aboaj Kanis, the national number 4, clinched victory against number 2, Oparajo Kanis. In the female singles final, Khadija Mohammed continued her dominance, winning over Udofa Mary, the national number 12. This marks Khadija's second consecutive title win, having also won the tournament in 2023 as an amateur. Khadija is currently ranked number 2 on the national tennis ranking as of October 30th, 2024. The Dalahad Court Tennis Tournament is the only surviving hardcore tennis tournament in Nigeria and has been a platform for discovering and nurturing tennis talent. And in athletics, Athletics Federation of Nigeria AFN has celebrated 100-meter hurdles world record holder Tobi Amusan, inducted into the University of Texas El Paso Hall of Fame. The track and field speed star became the youngest female minor of the 2024 class of the Hall of Fame. President of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Tinubu, said the honor will encourage other young and talented athletes to go for glory and do more in their various disciplines, as Tobi Amusan has demonstrated that she's a role model. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
That concludes News Hour tonight on Trust TV. For more of our news, programs and documentaries, do want to follow us on our social media platforms and on our YouTube live stream. I am Chiamaka Nwafo. Thank you for joining us tonight. Good night.